Hello, it is I, Lilith. I paint on things, I have a business, it's called Zigentala. Boom.
Intro done.
Today I'm going to be showing you how I flipped a couple of band t-shirts, and I came up with this idea because it was Australian T-shirt Music Day.
Australian T-shirt Music Day.
I definitely meant to say Australian Music T-shirt Day. Fortunately, Australian T-shirt Music Day was months ago, and I got inspired by that. I do have some Australian band t-shirts in my closet that have been hanging up for a while, and I haven't really been wearing them, mostly because now it's getting warmer and warmer and I'm getting a little bit more annoyed with concepts like sleeves and excess fabric. So today I thought I'd show you two different ways to flip your t-shirts so that you can wear them in the warmer months. Unfortunately, even though this is inspired by Australian Music T-shirt Day, I also did flip a Sex Pistols shirt. I know that they're not Australian and I'm sorry, but this is one of the t-shirts that I was willing to cut up. I do have a Violent Soho t-shirt, but I am not touching that with scissors at all anytime soon. So basically I've just got two tutorials today. One is for this Sex Pistols shirt, which will be created into a ruched crop top bandeau. And then we also have an AC/DC shirt, which I created also into a crop top, or you can not make it a crop, but it has a sort of stringy detailing at the back. Not really good for tan lines, but definitely good for going out, hopefully when we can go out to live gigs again. There will be a lot of cutting involved, a little bit of sewing as well, so make sure to follow along to see how I created these shirts. Yeah. So this is me pre-tutorial. I obviously look like I don't know what's happening. 2 espresso martinis and a nap will do that to you. So we're going to start with this AC/DC shirt. I did use a double-sided shirt to make this reversible top. You can use the same shirt or you can also use 2 different ones. So we're going to want to create a top that covers the front half of yourself. So just measure up the shirt against yourself just to make sure that you have enough room. You can also measure around the first half of yourself to determine how much you need to cut out, but I just sort of winged it because I didn't want to make a pattern. So you want to cut out around a square or a rectangle around the logo, and then also around the secondary logo that you want. The back of the t-shirt could also really work if you have tour dates on there and you want to wear that. So we're just going to cut those out now. While we're on the topic of cutting up t-shirts, a little fun fact: when I used to live with my grandmother, she actually confiscated all of the fabric scissors and normal scissors in the house because I went through a phase of cutting up my shirts and she obviously thought that they looked all hideous. So I wasn't actually allowed to use scissors in the house unless I actually persuaded her that I was cutting paper and I wasn't going to cut any of my clothes up. So yeah, that's what happens when a 16 and a 70-year-old live in the same house. So now we're going to be making the little notches that the string on the back is going to thread through. This is the bottom of the t-shirt that I didn't cut. You want to make sure that you do the same because we're going to need a very long piece of t-shirt yarn for the back of your t-shirt, so make sure you save that. Otherwise, these little notches can be cut out from the scraps of the t-shirt, so the top half or the sleeves. You basically just want to cut out as many notches as you want on each side. I went for pieces of string that were 5 to 6 centimeters long. And then I also cropped the top because I wanted it a little bit shorter. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take your notch pieces and you're going to fold them in half and pin the base to the sides of the t-shirt, making sure that it's on the right side and also making sure that the notches are facing inwards. Then you want to grab your other t-shirt panel. You want to place it over the top right side facing in. Then the next part is a little bit fiddly. You want to go around and re-pin all of the notches, but making sure that you pin the top of the shirt panel that you've just added. So basically you will have your two t-shirt panels pinned together with the little notches sandwiched inside. So once that's finished, you just want to pin the top and bottom as well, so you've got a full square of pins around your shirt. Then we're going to go and sew this bad boy. What you want to do is you want to start at the bottom right hand corner or the bottom left, whatever corner you'd like, but just start down there so that when we do sew around, you can stop with a 2 centimeter gap at the bottom and we can pull the shirt inside out. So this is me sewing it around. I used a zigzag stitch and just made sure that when I was sewing the 2 t-shirt layers and the notches all together. So once that's done, you just need to pull the shirt inside out using the 2 centimeter gap that you left. And you should have a crop shirt looking like this with the 2 sides of the t-shirt and the notches facing out. And then what you want to do is just get that 2 centimeter gap, fold the seam in and either do a top stitch, or you can also hand sew a blind stitch to close it up. Then what we want to do is we need a large piece of t-shirt yarn to thread through the notches at the back. So I grabbed the bottom of the t-shirt that I had before. This t-shirt was really peculiar as it didn't have any side seams, so I was actually able to cut a giant string of t-shirt yarn without any seams. However, if your shirt does have side seams, you'll just need to cut strips and then cut off the seams, which will most likely be exposed on the outside as the yarn rolls inward out, and then just re-sew them. If you don't know what I mean, you can check out the second tutorial as I go in depth how to do that with the t-shirt yarn for the Sex Pistols shirt. And so once you have your giant piece of t-shirt yarn, you just need to thread it through on the back of your t-shirt, and then you've got your AC/DC open back crop top. As I said before, you can use 2 t-shirts if you want to be fancy and have 2 bands on each side, but I did just use the AC/DC logo on each side as I didn't want to waste either of them. So next up is this Sex Pistols t-shirt, which I made a ruched Bandeau crop top out of. So basically what you want to do, just like the other shirt, make sure you measure the t-shirt around yourself to make sure that you do have enough fabric to work with. You will be needing about 2 to 3 centimeter seam allowance on the sides for this one. So what I first did was I cut 2 large drawstrings or t-shirt yarn from the bottom of the t-shirt. I wanted to make sure I had these as I will be using the full length of the t-shirt because this is a ruched design, which means you will be needing more fabric. So I cut out 2 identical rectangles around the logo. So I had a front panel and a back panel. And then when I had those 2 panels, I lined them up together, right sides facing in. So what you want to do is you want to pin the 2 sides together, making sure that you do leave yourself that 2 to 3 centimeter seam allowance, because once we sew the 2 side seams, we will be flipping the seam allowance over and creating the 2 channels in which we're going to pull the t-shirt yarn through to create the ruched effect. So when you pin your side seams down, just make sure you give yourself, as I said, maybe 2-3 centimeters seam allowance. If you're not sure if you'll have enough fabric to work with, just make sure that you try it on before you sew. So once you sew those 2 sides, then you just flip the seam allowance over and you just want to sew down the sides so you create 2 channels on each side of the t-shirt. I didn't bother pinning these down, I just used the presser foot as a way to sort of guide how big I wanted the channels to be, but just make sure they're big enough for the t-shirt yarn to pull through. Then you want to get your 2 t-shirt yarn pieces and you want to cut off the seam that's exposed on the outside, and then we just want to re-sew them so that the seam is on the inside when the t-shirt is rolled together. And then we just want to feed those 2 pieces of string, 1 on each side of the t-shirt. But I do have some tweezers and I threaded a paper clip through those tweezers and then threaded the string through it. And I just found that a little bit easier because the tweezers are long and easy to thread through. So when you do get halfway, just make sure you use that place where you sewed the 2 pieces together as a guide so that the strings are equal when they are threaded through the shirt. Also, just as a finish, you might have a little bit of excess from creating the 2 channels on each side of the shirt. You can definitely trim these parts. I also made sure to diagonally trim them at the tops and bottoms so they weren't exposed as much as they would be if they were just the straight flaps. And this is the finished product. I really like this shirt. I think it's really grungy. It'll be great to wear out or even just with some jeans. The good thing about this shirt as well is that you can adjust the sides so you can have a longer shirt if you want something that's covering you a little bit more. Otherwise, you can pull it up as a crop top. Awesome. So those were the 2 tutorials. I hope you enjoyed them. I am very, very happy with these results. I think definitely, I mean, I'll be wearing this one. I'll be wearing that t-shirt out a lot. I'll be wearing the black t-shirt out a lot. I think the AC/DC one is definitely more of a nighttime one, and this would be more like daytime. But totally up my alley. I'm definitely going to be wearing these. And it's really cool because the AC/DC one, you get 2 shirts out of 1. So if you liked this video, please make sure to press the like button because I'm getting that desperate. And you can subscribe if you'd like. You'd see more stuff from me. You will see my face a lot more often. You know, me and my 29 subscribers are having a bit of a good time here over in this corner of YouTube. So otherwise, I hope you have a good day and I will see you next time I manage to upload something, which should be in the next week. So, ciao.